What's up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. As usual, we have amazing guests sharing amazing stories. We have the one and only CEO of Lead Scout, Chris Hofstra, with us, and he'll be joining us, sharing his story of entrepreneurship. As you know, we always like to share stories of entrepreneurship and how we get to where we are, and leave you with some encouraging information to help you advance your life, advance your leadership level, advance your level of entrepreneurship. See you in a minute.
JobLimits is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
Stop driving job site to job site or texting and emailing photos. Know what's happening across your business. Get started for free today.
All right, everybody, welcome to the episode here. We got my man Chris Hofstra with us, currently, the one of the co-founders and the CEO of Lead Scout. But as usual, this is a story. This is a show about entrepreneurship, and we want to kind of dive in and get to know you a little bit better. But let's go ahead and get to know you a little bit, man. Where'd you come from? Like, how'd you get into entrepreneurship? And share a little bit about your story, my man.
Love it. Love it. Well, thanks for having me, Randy. It's good to be here. It's an honor, privilege to be talking with you and share a little bit of our story, both mine personally and of course, the journey that we're on at Lead Scout. Really proud of our team and what we're doing. And where did I come from? Well, I'm calling you guys from the beautiful state of Michigan. We can say that with a ton of confidence in June, July, August, September. It's one of the greatest spots on earth. It's a little a secret. I probably shouldn't even talk about it that much because then you all want to come here. Although we'll take your tourist money. That's cool. But seriously, we're the Mitten. So I'm in Grand Rapids, so the west side of the state. We're, from a contracting roofing business standpoint, would be considered a retail state. Certainly get our fair share of some storms, but definitely a retail state. But born and raised here in Michigan, went to college, did the 4-year college thing, knew I wanted to get into business. So I was a business degree, liked sales. I liked people, was always comfortable around people. So I got into sales right away. Actually got into transportation sales. So when I graduated from college, I spent about a decade in freight transportation. So if anybody's ever, worked for a brokerage or worked for one of the large national freight companies, like a ABF Freight out of Fort Smith, Arkansas, that was a publicly traded company I worked for, was an outside salesperson for them, but bounced around, worked for little companies, and then ended up starting my own brokerage with a friend, 50-50 partnership that we started back in, that was probably 2016. And we did that for a couple of years. And, as many of these stories go, what you set out to do isn't always what you end up doing. And so while we were, in some ways just kind of pushing papers to broker truckloads, that was our business. We found ourselves in a fulfillment business because one of our freight customers needed some warehousing, they needed some fulfillment services. So, as an entrepreneur, and sometimes you're not really setting out to do that, right, Randy? I mean, you just kind of like, you're on a mission to do good and to be successful and to, better yourself and make more money. And so when opportunities arise, you seize those that make sense. And this opportunity arose, and so we got into, essentially we're like a boutique Amazon. So we had all this product, we had makeup and board games and all this clothing, and it was in a warehouse in Southern California, and we would ship this stuff all over the country. So our business morphed, it changed, and with that came just a totally different business. At that time, that was probably 2 years into the business. And at that time, I was starting to just a family with my wife. We have 3 kids, almost 10, almost 8, and almost 5. They all have birthdays in the summer. And, it was a business that I wasn't really ready for. And so to make a long story short, my business partner was gracious enough to say, even though we're just getting started, I want to make this, worth the time that you've put in. So he bought me out and said, let me just take this thing. Needed a lot of capital, right? We needed more space. We needed high-lows and racking and all this technology and all this stuff. And I wasn't really ready for that. And it's in Southern California. And it's a location-based business when you're in fulfillment. And so I was traveling a lot to SoCal. I loved it. But then another part of me, hated it because I was gone from the little kids. So when I left that, I was kind of left with, what next? And many of you maybe have been in that situation, whether it was just trying, leaving a job or, getting some type of buyout. And as we all know, buyouts don't mean you get to retire. So, you get that.
It just bridges the gap a little bit until you can find something.
Exactly.
Weeks, right?
Exactly. Well, sometimes what it is it's you getting paid back for all the times you weren't getting paid during the journey, right? During the build. So really that's what it was. So, oddly enough, at that exact moment, because I'm a man of faith. And so I believe that, God has a plan and he's orchestrating this plan in my life. And so he just decided, he shut a door and he decided to open another one just to a room I wasn't expecting. And that room was into remodeling, residential construction. Okay. And it was in the form of a friend I was in a Bible study with. He's like, hey, Chris, he'd been kind of following me through this. And, he said, what are you going to do next? I was like, I don't really know. And he's like, you should be a roofer. Dude, roofers can kill it if they know what they're doing, and it's fun. And he also happened to be a roofing manufacturer sales rep, so he was like, I want you selling in my territory. And so he connected me with a local roofer. Michigan had just had the largest hailstorm on record ever in Battle Creek, Michigan, in June of 2019. So literally 4 years ago, almost to the month, right, or to the month. Huge hail. Battle Creek is the cereal capital of the world. Some decent population down there. One of the smaller cities in Michigan, but certainly a city center. And I think there was like 14,000 homes impacted by it. But anyways, long story short, he's like, listen, you don't have to just jump into it, but just go down there for a couple months. What else are you doing, right? So go down there for a couple months, knock some doors. It's beautiful. You're outside. You get to climb up on roofs. It'll be great. So I did that for 2 months and I got the bug. And it was just amazing, amazing. But also it was like shooting fish in a barrel because, I didn't really have to, I wasn't selling retail. I was selling storm. And I was just trying to get, my sell was, you can trust me. You can get a hold of me. And the company I'm representing has done great work for a long time. That was it. So I was, they'd say, well, I already talked to 3 other people, but I kind of like you. And I'd get the signed proceeds agreement, bada bing, bada boom. We had someone that handled the adjustment with the ACV, RCV, if I'm saying that right. It's been a little bit. And,
it's like riding a bike. You don't forget that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And okay, good. And then we'd supplement it and we have to re-roof the whole thing. And there's another $20,000. I'm like, oh, cool. That was easy. But anyways, through that experience, I basically met my current partner today, Joe. At that time, Joe had just kind of left the napkin sketch of Lead Scout and was started kind of beta testing an app. And that app was really based on a simple principle. And that principle is when a roofer, and we were going after roofing, right out of the gate, if a roofer sees a roof that needs to be replaced, what are they going to do about it? Right? And typically that's like, you just go knock the door, right? Well, yes, you have to do that. But what if you could pin it on a map and then, but not only that, but pin something specific about it, like missing shingles or algae streaks, right? Or damaged valley, and then send a mailer to that house saying, I noticed that issue, right? So targeted lead generation through direct mail. That was the whole principle. And this was late 2019, right? So as we kind of so I joined up with them. Long story short, right? I was like, I can't get any better than this storm. All the roofs were bought by fall for the most part. And it was kind of like, do I just stay on with this roofing company? But I was always kind of like, what's my next entrepreneurial thing? That guy, nice guy, but wasn't looking for a partner. I was like, hey, I get it, man. So why don't I just do this lead scout thing? So Joe, let me join you. So I did that, and I joined up with Joe late 2019. Well, then COVID hit, and here we are sitting with a tool that allowed you to pin a house on a map and send it a direct mail piece. So what do you think people that are used to knocking doors are going to think when they see that? Holy cow, digital door knocking. Are you kidding me? Thank you, Lead Scout, for solving our problem before you even knew it was going to be a problem. So that happened, and COVID was a good thing for us. But I'll kind of just, I can get in the weeds sometimes, and I don't want to, lull you guys to sleep. But the reality is, part of that experience is we didn't fully understand how direct mail worked, really on a massive scale, on a as we say, statistically significant scale, right? And you're dealing with hundreds of different contractors that position themselves in a little bit different way in different markets. And when you have a product that's put into the marketplace that is saying that, right? Whether we were trying to say, yes, you don't have to knock the door, just send a mailer like this and you'll get the lead, right? That's not what we were saying, but it's what our product did. It was the utility of the product. So the marketplace is saying, well, I guess that's all it takes then. And you have, Randy, you've been running a business a long time. I think you'd probably see that and be like, no, it's just branding impression. It's part of an omni-channel marketing strategy. But a lot of guys that are just getting started, or even if they've been in business for a few years, they see that, and part of it is we want it. We want to manifest it to be true. So it's man, I think if we could scout enough homes, mail enough homes, the phone should just ring off the hook, right? Well, it doesn't work that way. So, anyways, I'll stop there because there's a lot more to the story, and I'd love to have you ask some questions.
To hear more about the story because I think that's for me as a host, as also being entertained by it. Someone out there listening, entrepreneurial stories are intriguing. If you're an entrepreneur at heart, if you are in business now, you run a business now, whether you just started, you've been doing it for decades, or you're interested in running a business and you're listening to this show, this is the inner workings of it, because there's a lot to unpack so far with what you've shared. And one of the things that I'm picking up that I want to kind of elaborate on is the original path, the path that we have as entrepreneurs that we think we're going on, or the vision that we have, is pretty much never the actual path that you take. Right? No. And my journey has gone so many different ways and different directions, and I've adapted and overcome different challenges, and just, what I thought I was going into when I first started my construction company to where I am now is absolutely different than what I thought it was going to be. And I think as an entrepreneur, you just have to have two sides to this. One, you just have to have the ability to adapt and adjust and pivot, is what they call it in business, right? You got to pivot when it's time to pivot. Oh yeah. But you also got to learn how to see through the tea leaves and be careful not to chase shiny objects. Yeah. It's like a slippery slope. Very. You can either pivot and it can send your life into an amazing direction in of growth, or you can chase a shiny object because it just happens to fall on your plate. I mean, doing the transportation thing. It's we started, as a brokering, trucks going here and there and whatever, and we ended up as a supplier or as a distribution company, and who knows which one is more profitable, but it just happened to be a customer says, hey, can you do this? And a lot of entrepreneurs are yeah, I could do that. And we just go to work trying to figure it out. Yep. But what we don't realize is, maybe that's not the best way.
Yeah.
And this comes with wisdom. This comes with knowledge. This comes with listening to podcasts. This comes with surrounding yourself with people that have experience, that have wisdom, that have gone down these roads.
Absolutely.
So if you're listening to this, then congratulations. You're fast forwarding, hopefully, some mistakes that many entrepreneurs make. And that's why I like sharing these stories, because we always tend to discover the challenges, the mistakes. What did you overcome? What did you learn, right? You know, you were going one direction and branched off to another way. And that was, you know, I'm a man of faith as well. And that was like not the plan that God had for you. It was like, all right, look, we're coming back over here, right?
Yep.
So it's awesome. A lot of cool things to unpack. And I think the story so far is, you know, pivot, adjust, but also know when to just, you know, go a completely different direction.
Well, and having the humility to, you know, say we got it wrong. Like we made the wrong call, and that's okay. Like, you're going to make bad calls, and you play the hand you're dealt. It's a cliche thing, but it's true. Like we make decisions with the information we have. We don't know what we don't know. And then when we hit a dead end, or we feel like, you know, the wheels are coming off, having the humility to go, maybe we just didn't have it right, you know, and that's okay. And so what can we do to right that ship? And not, again, to your point, not chase the shiny object, but, you know, stay true to what your mission is. How are you helping your customer? Who is your customer, and how are you helping them? And if, you know, our customer is a residential contractor, that's it, right? I think the technical term is a residential service sector business, right? If you look it up. So I don't care if you do lawn care or roofing or whatever, pest control, you know, our focus within that group is like exterior remodelers. So those are our people. And I want to help them grow their business by generating more high quality leads. So what is it that I'm doing to do that? And if that's my mission, then if I feel like this utility in my product, if I'm a service or a product, I'm a product, that's a little bit of service, isn't getting it done, that's okay. You know, we bet on the wrong horse. Okay. We got to try something else. And that's, you got to learn. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Learn, adapt, overcome, get better.
And that'll never end, ever.
Never.
It will. I mean, I don't care if you make it to 10, 20, 50, 100 million. It's just, if anything, the mistakes are bigger and there's more on the line, but you still have to make those pivots, and you still have to accept, hey, we had this wrong. Glad we figured that out, and we're going to go in a different direction that's better for us, and better for our customer.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, decisiveness plays a key part into this as well. Is, you know, you got to be able to make a decision, go all in, but also know that, hey, when the timing is, when I know that, hey, maybe I made a mistake, or maybe it's not working the way I planned. Okay, learn. What did I learn? What did I figure out? And then make another decision. And keep rinsing and repeating that process. And the faster you can make mistakes, the faster you can quote unquote fail, the faster you're going to learn, the better you're going to get, the quicker you're going to achieve the success that you're going after.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that.
So let's carry on with the story. I mean, you're getting this thing going. 2019, COVID happens.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Yeah. So people are signing up. I mean, we think like we made it. Different companies are reaching out to us, like GAF is inviting us to different events, and, you know, we got partnered up with LP. We still are like an actual corporate partner with LP. And so people love what we're building and what we're doing to help their contractors buy more product or do whatever it is that they're doing. Right. And so, so that was great, but over time, it takes time, right? You need enough repetitions to figure something out. The efficacy of something takes time to see if it's got the metal. And what we found is we didn't know it, but we were kind of this like canvassing tool, like, and I'm talking like a sales rabbit canvassing tool. We were kind of like that, but we weren't. Like, it wasn't fully there, right? Because that's not what we had built. Like, we weren't like, we want to build another sales rabbit. At that time, that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to, look at a house, pin it, mail it, get a lead. And then over here, we had like the mail, but we didn't really understand it, right? We weren't like an agency. We weren't like helping you strategize that mail piece. You know, like we had some templates you could choose from and things like that, and you could upload your own. And it was more like, hey, we're just a platform to send them out for you. Like think of it like an execution tool.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of just not fully in either. And ultimately what happened is we found that that doesn't work. And so what would happen is guys weren't really adopting it as a daily field tool. And if they weren't using it fully for the direct mail. So as a direct mail tool, it's like, oh, they're at least got some mailing company. They'd be like, yeah, well, we didn't get any leads. I mean, believe it or not, Randy, like I've had countless people tell me that. And if I look at their account, I'd be like, well, it's because you sent 50 mailers last month. And it's June 21, you haven't sent any this month. So yeah, you haven't. And I can't blame you entirely. That's where the marketing piece, if we're going to do this, right? Like Dope Marketing does this great. And David's going to continue to be successful to the extent, like David, if you're listening to this, hopefully you are, you got to keep leaning into the guys and helping teach them, guide them around how to make this successful, right? It can't be as simple as like you got some templates and you can blast them out. Like it's got to go deeper. Otherwise, what's going to happen is over time, it's like they'll find something else. And quite frankly, they won't really know, were all those dollars I just spent on that paper and print really worth it? I don't even know. I mean, Randy, you know, I mean, how many guys and those listening, have you tried a mail program? And I guarantee you, majority of them say, I don't even know if it worked. That's a problem. So if you're gonna jump into that boat with them, you better figure out attribution. You better be able to figure out a way to show them what their dollars got them. And make sure that before they spend those dollars, they're doing it in the most effective manner possible. So we weren't in either of those camps. And so what happened, we had a fall summit, right? And so we ran out of money. We were bootstrapping all this. I didn't have no VC money, no big money. It was just like 10,000 here, 100,000 here. I mean, we had like the messiest cap table on the planet. And so we were at the point where we were going to have to shut the doors. Fortunately, an angel came. It was somebody that I'd become good friends with, actually was a customer. And he said, I believe in you and I believe in what you're building for this industry and I want to help you. And so that was end of 2021. And basically we bought out the cap table. So sometimes you have to do that. Those are tough conversations where those that were a part of the beginning, it's like if this is where we're going, if you don't want to be a part of that, then unfortunately we gotta buy out. And of course, in those cases, oftentimes they're not getting all their money back. But if you can get some of your money back, just lesson from those that have done it, that's a win, you know, getting some money. So we were able to get some money back to our original founder. We cleared the cap table. Joe and I stayed on. We brought on Matt, who is our CTO. We were not coding on our own before. We were outsourcing all that. So we said we need to take that in-house. So Matt is one of the best developers on the planet. He writes every single one of our lines of code. So everything is done in-house. And that was part of the requirements for this capital that we were able to raise. So we had that angel come in, bought out the cap table, and gave ourselves a runway to where we could refocus on what is this product going to do to maximize the value to the contractor. And we chose direct mail. So we said, we need to make the mail easier. We need to make it more scalable. Because remember, if you're just pinpointing, guys, like, I don't care how targeted you are, you have to have critical mass. You can't hand pick 100 homes and get a response rate. Like if someone tells you, if the marketplace says the response rate on mail is 1%, 100 is not statistically significant to make that average applicable. It doesn't work, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to have statistically significant data. And if you're hand picking, even though it's like, oh yeah, I do that. My head's on a swivel, looking for roofs all the time. But you got to be on that for a while, right? And then to have the mail have an impact. So he said, let's not do that. Let's like just, do it in swaths. Let's kind of make larger and let's automate more mail. So instead of sending one of these hail damage, we're going to send 5 over 5 weeks and it's automated, right? This is a lot what Dope does. And that's important, right? So we put all of our eggs in that basket. We said, we're going to build this like souped up mail program thing. Well, fast forward 6 months. And I won't go into all the challenges. It's a tough thing to build a software product around, right? It's transactional. It's very low margin. It's very fickle. And unless you've got all your ducks in a row, unless you're really leaning into the strategy and the consulting around each client and what they're doing with their mail programs and how they're sending out, how many, and doing all the back end measurement to get that attribution to show them, listen, I know you spent $5,000, but here's your customer acquisition cost. Unless you're doing that, they're just like, hey, Chris, I like you, man, and it was kind of fun, but I'm going to do more digital ads. Or I'm going to, whatever, buy a billboard. So at that point, we also were getting some feedback from VCs because we were starting to like, hey, we got this runway. But when you're building a business, you get a runway, you got to automatically start looking to build more capital, right? Especially as a software company. So we immediately, within months, we're starting to look to raise more money. And all the VCs are like, we don't want to invest in you if you're sending mail. We want to invest in you if you got a good subscription. Right? Like, what is your utility beyond this thing? Right?
Yeah.
Why does a contractor pay you $200 a month or whatever it is without that? Right? What value do you bring to them? That's what they want. Right? And so, we saw that, and that was another pivotal point to this idea before we just talk about pivoting. We realized, shoot, here we thought we figured it out. We kind of made a mistake. We were kind of like lukewarm in these two areas. We're going to go all in. Well, that was for us, that's just for us as a software company. That was the wrong path. And we had to kind of, take our medicine and go, okay, we built all this infrastructure. It's great, but we really see an opportunity to provide the majority of the marketplace with a digital tool that allows them to capture opportunity when they're in the neighborhood. We need to think more like a Sales Rabbit or a Spodio. But we saw a tremendous amount of opportunity in the marketplace to say those guys are doing really good in their lane. There's other lanes. And the reality is by this time we've talked to hundreds of contractors, and believe it or not, Randy, and you know this, many of them are still writing stuff down. So I'm in a neighborhood, there's Honey Hole, I see this. I've got my work hard, play hard thing, and I'm writing down 2055 Shiloh Point. And then calling, Jill in the office and hey, add it to the letters that we're sending out. And it's like, no, you got to digitize that. Everybody's got to have a pliers in their pocket. So when they see 2055, they just pin it. And Jill can see it, right? Mm-hmm. And, if you're going to go knock it, you can. So we shifted that, and that was late last year. And now, right now, so if anybody that's interested in learning more about Lead Scout, our primary focus is to give you guys a mobile tool to where you never miss an opportunity. I don't care if you're hardscaping, roofing, siding for LP. When you see a neighborhood that's got some opportunity and you don't want to forget about that because data is power and you want to own that information in your market, you use Lead Scout to record that and map it. Not really different from a Sales Rabbit. It's just a different approach. Right? Sales Rabbit is, I don't need to explain it, but there's just a different approach to that. And so we're really going after, we're going after Storm, but we're going after the retail guys that just want to collect that data and map it out, right? Top of funnel, prospecting, organization. And then what's cool is as we build that out and provide that utility, that pliers in your pocket. Oh, by the way, we spent 6 months building a really badass automated mail program. So if you feel like that's something that you want to do, we can help you with it. All right, but dope, that's a great tool too. Right? And there's others. So that kind of takes us to the end of that's where we are today, Randy.
Yeah. I love it because it's just entrepreneurship, right? And we're all business, and it's like you see, a title, oh, we're doing an interview with Lead Scout or this, that, and the other, oh, just a marketing company. But the reality is that we're all companies, we're all entrepreneurs, we're all human beings. Mm-hmm. We're all trying to, serve others and help solve problems and grow our business. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that our clients and the people that work with us, that support us, are seeing success as well. Nothing works without that, right?
Yep.
So You know, the same thing as I'm, you know, I'm a roofing contractor, but we also have a coaching platform, right? So as we're trying to, you know, as we're building our coaching platform and bringing on people and trying to deliver there, it's, if we don't deliver value like that, people aren't going to stick around. You know, we're trying to like create an environment where when someone comes in, they're like, man, thank you. I finally found my home, right? I finally found the community, the information, the data, the people, the camaraderie. Oh, and the business model that I can plug and play, and the coaching staff that I can help implement things in my business. So we're trying to do the same thing. You're doing the same thing, just from a different vertical, different angle.
Totally.
Right? So
totally.
Yeah, super cool, man. I guess what is some of the differences? I'm just kind of curious. You know, it's like, you know, I know Dave. He's been on here a few times. Good buddy. We've done a lot of work with him as well. And you know, what's the kind of some of the key differentiators?
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Differentiators.
Yeah.
that you guys, you know, are compared to some of the others out there.
Yeah. So David and I have talked, not a ton, but you know, one of our conversations actually, like, you know, he owns the print shop. So we partner with printers all over the country. So we're just the middleman. So where David has brought that all in house and continues. I mean, I saw a post from him, I don't know, a few days ago or something. He bought like a big sign machine, you know, so he is really kind of the manufacturer, right? And all things print. And so, you know, I think in reality, like I could route all those print requests to Dope Marketing. In theory, I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite ready yet, you know, both he and I think you gotta, those kind of things you really gotta, like, you know, it's kind of like hiring, you know, hire slow, fire fast.
Fire fast. Oh yeah.
So, you know, I think what David does really well is he really is helps with the holistic print marketing, your door hangers, your yard signs, your mailers, you know, he's got the cookie boxes of things. And, and like I said earlier, like when I said, if you're listening, hopefully as part of that, he's also has people helping those contractors, whether 1 million or 15 million, really think about how to leverage those print mediums.
Yeah.
And in the most effective way. So in a sense, and he may disagree with me because I know he's got some pretty cool technology with his you know, Blitz thing. But he's really more of an agency. Okay. So he's taken that agency, which we need, which is really good. I'm taking more of a software as a service. Okay.
Gotcha.
And that's really the key difference. But then the big one is just like, I have a canvassing tool. I mean, it's literally a mobile app to knock doors, which is vastly different from Dope Marketing, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
And I don't know if, I mean, it'd be interesting to know like what Dave's roadmap is. Like if obviously he's you got to be watching what we're doing. Like if that would ever make sense for him. I don't think so. I'm not really worried about it anyways, the blue ocean, but that's the big one. So then that leads us to the next question that you probably want to ask. Well, okay, what makes you different about Sales Rabbit? And the simple answer is like, listen, Sales Rabbit's 10 years ahead of me, and they're really just like a CRM. I mean, that is a tool that has been built out, you know, layer, feature, layers. And that's great. And there are a lot of companies that need that sophistication in the field. But I believe there's a really huge market that doesn't need all that. And they need simple. Like, just let me do like 2 clicks. And that's all I really need, Chris, because I got Job Nimbus, right? And I'm good there. I've got a really good CRM. It handles all that other stuff. It can take signatures and all that stuff. But I just need something to keep me organized because I can't do this. That doesn't work. Yeah. And that's where we would say like, hey, you know, and we have it every day. You know, we're looking at Dope Marketing, how you different. Hey, we're looking at Sales Rep, how you different. And it's pretty simple. And we just say like, hey, you gotta position that partner, that tool based on where you're at in the maturation and what you're trying to do in those areas.
Yeah. Love it, man. It's cool. I'm rooting for you. I think you guys are onto something. It's super cool to hear the story. And, you know, and I think I think what you're able to kind of start to tap into here is so many people, like the headlines, the low-hanging fruit, the buzzword is all about hail damage and storm damage and all that stuff. And I think there's an entire world out there that doesn't get the recognition that's even bigger than the hail damage world, because the hail damage world is so loud and everybody's talking about it all the time, right? There's a whole world out there for service, repairs, algae, like damage, like all the different things that you could do in a retail market.
So this is so TC's got their storm, right? They've got storm, but they're a repair retail company too. Yep. They do financing. So, I just sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to like point out that like absolutely there's an entire non-hail space that is waiting for someone that knows how to run a business, that's got their head on straight, that could kill it.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is everybody wants the easy button. Everyone wants the hack, but you just got to go get in your truck and go find work, right? So this is a tool to help you do that. In a retail environment, for instance, if you're in a retail environment, that there's an entire town or neighborhood. Like back in the day, it used to be the T-locks, right? We ran T-locks for decades trying to replace those and get those done. Like outdated roofs, like roofs products that don't exist anymore, those sort of things. Like for instance, in the solar world, you got the Dow solar shingles and some of these things that are like all recalled and they don't, they're like fire hazards and stuff. So if I can just use your tool and just go click, 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 and just spend a couple hours like identifying where all those are, now I can hit it from multiple perspectives to try to get that business.
Yep. Whether you're sending a canvassing team or you're doing some digital marketing or you're sending mail or maybe you're doing both. Like we're talking about
all three.
Text messages, ringless voicemail. There's all kinds of things. A postcard's just one of many, many ways. But I like, what you say, and I hope that you continue to reinforce to anybody, whether they've been doing it a while, and I know it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, or they're just new. Guys, you said get in your truck to get out there. You're right. But then once you're out there, what do you got to do? Get out of your truck. So we made T-shirts.
The hardest door to open is your
own car door,
right? Yeah.
So we made T-shirts and we handed them out at the last few events, like Dimitri's thing, and I don't think we had them at RoofCon because that was at the beginning of the year, but it just said get out of your truck. That's what it said. Yeah. So when people come to us, they come to us because why? They want leads. And so the first question I ask is like, what do you are you more storm, insurance, restoration? You're more retail? I don't care what their answer is. Yeah. You got to get out of your truck. So that's our, whether, and sometimes it's like whether you even use our tool or not. If you come to us and you do a demo with us and you consider trying a free trial, because we give everybody a free trial, I don't care if I want you to come and stay, but if you don't, can you just promise me you'll get out of your truck more than you did before you met us? Because I need you to do that, because that's going to be better for you.
That's where the results are going to come. You got to put in the effort.
You got to put in the effort, and it's a good thing. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So
everybody tries. A lot of people try.
Yeah,
but not a lot of people succeed.
Yeah.
All right, man. As we kind of land this plane and wrap this thing up in traditional fashion, I'm sure you've heard some of the shows. I'm sure you're aware, or maybe not. Maybe we'll catch you off guard, but you're an entrepreneur. You've been in this, in this little while now. Give us your golden nugget, man. Give us that piece of advice that either someone gave to you or something that you've learned that you just want to hit us with to send us off.
Yeah, and this golden nugget is something that I'm still struggling with. And I think I told you at the beginning, I'm going to be hanging out with Dylan McCabe and some of his guys in a little bit here.
Dylan's a great guy. Been on here multiple times, partner of the show.
I love some of the messaging and stuff he's putting out right now, and it echoes what that golden nugget is, and that's just creating healthy boundaries. And I didn't do a good job of that early on, and I'm paying for that now because I created these ruts and these habits that are really hard to break, and I was like scared to set those boundaries because, for whatever reason, I just felt that, like, if the business fails, everything else is going to fail. So I got to give everything. Like, it's almost like I'll be honey and kids. Dad'll be back, but you got to let me do this, because you're going to have a better life and this and that. And it's like, that's not it, guys. And, thank you to those that speak otherwise. And I'm sure you've said it, Randy. I haven't specifically heard you, but I just, saw Dylan's post not too long ago. Like, you got to create those boundaries and identify what matters and important in life. Continue to push the envelope and work hard, but set those boundaries, right? You can't cross here, and and you'll just be more wholehearted in life. Absolutely. So there's my golden nugget. So
I love that, and I preach that too, is you're chasing after whatever it is you're chasing after. The goal is great. It's good to have goals, good to have ambition, good to, be striving for something. But if you're so focused on what you don't have and what you're striving for, it's easy to take for granted what you do have already and what you've already accomplished.
Yep.
The kids, especially with the family and the kids, they don't care about what you're chasing or what goals or what life you're trying to provide for them. They care whether you're there and you love them and you hang out with them and you go out and throw the football in the backyard and take them to the pool and do the things that they want to do. That's what they care about. It's not about like that. So I've struggled with that one big time as well. And every once in a while I got to check myself. So thank you for checking me, my man.
Yeah.
On the way out here. So thank you so much. How do we get a hold of you, my man? Chris Hofstra with Lead Scout. How do we find you if we want to connect with you, carry on the conversation? Obviously, for those, I missed my cue, but for those listening to this, watching this, whether on YouTube or Instagram talk or whatever it is, make sure to
Instagram,
like,
TikTok,
subscribe, share this out, and comment. And we really appreciate the support that you guys give. And of course, a big shout out to our amazing sponsors that provide for the show. So,
absolutely.
How do we get a hold of you, my man?
LeadScoutApp.com.
LeadScoutApp.com.
Yep. Google Lead Scout if you forgot the app part, APP. But Google us. You'll find us. There's a link. You can schedule a call with me. Love to hear from you.
Awesome, man. Well, it was great hanging out with you, my man. Get on with your day.
Thanks,
Take care,
Randy.
everybody. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe,
Thanks, everybody.
share.